تحدثنا في أول حلقة عن المظاهرات غير المسبوقة في ولاية ميشيغان الأمريكية لدعم الشعب الفلسطيني وتلك الحشود الرهيبة. طيب، قلت لكم إن في قصة تستحق إن احنا نتحدث فيها. ليه الحشود الرهيبة خرجت بهذا الشكل في ميشيغان أمس؟ كان في زيارة للرئيس الأمريكي بايدن لولاية ميشيغان. بايدن أعلن دعم مطلق لجيش الاحتلال زي ما أنت عارف. فالأهالي في ولاية ميشيغان قرروا يخرجوا في تظاهرات ضخمة لرفض موقف الرئيس الأمريكي والإدارة الأمريكية. الرسالة كانت موجهة إن احنا هذا السفور وهذا الانحياز لإسرائيل مرفوض بكل الأشكال. دي كانت السبب اللي خلى المظاهرات بتلك الكثافة في ميشيغان في أمريكا. أمريكا أعلنت من البداية دعمها المطلق لجيش الاحتلال عن طريق الإدارة الأمريكية والرئيس الأمريكي، بدون أي ذكر لحقوق الفلسطينيين ولا معاناتهم في الداخل في الضفة والقطاع، في الضفة أو في قطاع غزة. بالأمس متحدثة البيت الأبيض جيم باساكي قالت إن هدف واشنطن الرئيسي الآن هو وقف التصعيد وتهدئة الأوضاع على الأرض.
Does the president's assessment from last Thursday still stand that he does not see Israel strikes as a significant overreaction?
Again, I think I noted that the president also had two calls over the weekend since Thursday where he conveyed his concerns about the current period of conflict, the lives of Israeli and Palestinian civilians that have been lost, and certainly raised his concern about the safety and security of journalists and others who have been impacted on the ground. So we're not going to give a day-by-day evaluation. I will say that our objective is to, just like it is with other countries and our partners around the world, is to play the role we can play in the most constructive way possible to reduce the violence, to de-escalate the situation on the ground, and a great deal of that is going to be through intensive, quiet diplomacy behind the scenes.
And does the president's assessment from last Thursday still stand that he does not see Israel strikes as a significant overreaction?
Again, I think I noted that the president also...
المتحدثة باسم البيت الأبيض سئلت عن تصريح نتنياهو اللي قال إن استهداف الأبراج السكنية هو عمل مشروع تماماً. البيت الأبيض سئل عن برج الصحفيين اللي اتضرب واللي كان فيه مقر وكالة Associated Press الشهيرة.
Last question, if I may. You mentioned the journalists on the ground on that Gaza tower strike. The Prime Minister Netanyahu called this a perfectly legitimate target. Does this White House agree with that?
Well, I would say that any intelligence is being handled through intelligence channels. I don't have a further readout or confirmation of any of those details from here, nor do I have an assessment of that intelligence that was stated by the Prime Minister. Go ahead.
One last question, if I may. You mentioned the journalists on the ground on that Gaza tower strike.
هروب بشكل واضح وسافر من التعليق على أي إجرام لجيش الاحتلال. أعتقد ده المشهد العاشر اللي أنا عارضه لحضرتك من المتحدثين باسم البيت الأبيض أو المتحدثين باسم الخارجية، وتهربوا فيها بهذا الشكل من الإجابة على أي أسئلة تجرم ما يفعله جيش الاحتلال. هل نتنياهو يصطنع هذا المشهد للهروب من فشله لتشكيل حكومة؟ في ناس شبهته بترامب واللي عملوا بإشعال أمريكا يوم 6 يناير لو تتذكروا.
Tom Friedman wrote today about this being a January 6th moment for Prime Minister Netanyahu. Is there a concern at the White House by the president that domestic politics in Israel are currently a barrier to an end to this escalation of violence?
Well, I will say, Mike, good to see you, first of all. I will say that it's not our role to assess or analyze the politics on the ground in Israel. Everybody has their own politics in different regions of the world, and we see that play out in foreign policy all the time. What our role is to play be as constructive as possible in de-escalating the violence, bringing an end to the conflict.
رشيد طليب عضو رشيدة طليب العضوة بمجلس النواب الأمريكي عن الحزب الديمقراطي انتظرت بايدن وهو نازل لولاية ميشيغان، وقفته لمدة 8 دقائق لتبلغه اعتراضها على موقفه في دعم جيش الاحتلال.
President Biden is facing more questions about Israel as strikes continue and peace talks break down. According to the White House, President Biden expressed support for a ceasefire in his call with Israel's Prime Minister Monday. But the U.S. ally says it will keep striking Gaza until Hamas rocket fire stops. President Biden spoke with the only Palestinian American in Congress, Michigan Democrat Rashida Tlaib, for nearly 8 minutes on the tarmac before an infrastructure event Tuesday. Tlaib has been one of the president's harshest critics over his support for Israel.
رشيدة تحدثت أيضا في الكونغرس عن النكبة الفلسطينية، وحاولت تشرح للكونغرس الأمريكي معاناة الشعب الفلسطيني.
Call with Israel.
I am a reminder to colleagues that Palestinians do indeed exist, that we are human, that we are allowed to dream. We are mothers, daughters, granddaughters. We are justice seekers and are unapologetically about our fight against oppressions of all forms. And colleagues, Palestinians aren't going anywhere no matter how much money you send to Israel's apartheid government. As Palestinians talk about our history, know that many of my black neighbors, indigenous communities, may not know what we mean by Nakba, but they do understand what it means to be killed, expelled from your home, land, made homeless, and stripped of your human rights.
رشيدة طليب بكت أمام الكونغرس وهي تحكي حكاية الظلم الأكبر في العالم منذ سنوات.
You know, when I see the images and videos of destruction and death in Palestine, all I hear are the children screaming from pure fear and terror. I want to read something a mother named Iman in Gaza wrote 2 days ago. She said, quote, "Tonight I put the kids to sleep in our bedroom so that when we die together." And no one would live to mourn the loss of another one. The statement broke me a little more because of my country's policies and funding will deny this mother's right to see children live, her own children live without fear and to grow old without painful trauma and violence. We must, with no hesitation, demand that our country recognize the unconditional support of Israel has enabled the erasure of Palestinian life and the denial of the rights of millions of refugees and emboldens the apartheid policies that Human Rights Watch has detailed thoroughly in their recent report.
رشيدة طليب حكت عن جدتها اللي بتعيش في الضفة الغربية. رشيدة والدها حربي طليب غادر الضفة الغربية سنة 1975 قبل سنة من ولادة رشيدة، وراح مدينة ديترويت في ولاية ميشيغان الأمريكية، وجدتها مفتية طليب لا زالت تعيش في الضفة الغربية. رشيدة وجهت رسالة لجدتها في الضفة.
For you not only as a congresswoman for the beautiful 13 District strong, but also as a proud daughter of Palestinian immigrants and the granddaughter of a loving Palestinian grandmother living in the occupied Philistine. So I can't stand here. I can't stand silent when injustice exists, where the truth is obscured. Lastly, to my city in Philistine, Ashanik and Awakif Hannah, I stand here because of you.
بايدن بعد ما وقف مع رشيدة طليب حاول يواسيها.
And Rashid, Talib, where's Rashid? I tell you what, Rashid, I want to say to you that I admire your intellect, I admire your passion, and I admire your concern for so many other people. And it's from my heart, I pray that your grandmom and family are well. I promise you I'm going to do everything to see that they are on the West Bank. You're a fighter, and God, thank you for being a fighter.
ارجع لكلامنا مقدمتنا يوم ما تولى بايدن الحكم. قلت لك نفس ما نتعرض ليه مع ترامب، بس شوية ألوظة.